By May 11th, you must cut ties, or your angel will return empty-handed again. Heaven has drawn a divine line in the sand, and by the time May 11th arrives, what you choose to release, or stubbornly hold on to, will decide whether the angel sent to deliver your long-awaited breakthrough departs full or departs empty. This is not merely a deadline. This is a spiritual turning point, a sacred marker etched into the timeline of your destiny. Archangel Michael has watched silently, faithfully, repeatedly, and he has seen the same pattern. Your prayers ascend like smoke, and heaven responds. But when the blessing nears you, something near you repels it. It's not your faith that blocks it. It's not your worthiness. It's the soul tie, the energetic tether, the connection you refuse to sever, the one that's cloaked in sentiment, shadowed by guilt, and wrapped in deception. And that tether is turning your field into a no-landing zone for miracles. His message is not born of condemnation, but of compassion. There is no punishment here, only the loving correction of divine timing. For too long, you have cried over cycles that were never supposed to last this long. You have fought battles that were never yours to fight. You have defended the very thing delaying your destiny, and the realm of light has reached a sacred decision. By May 11th, the portal opens again. The angel will descend. The atmosphere will shift. But if you do not cut the tie, if you do not cancel the agreement with the one who sows confusion into your clarity, the angel will once again return to the throne empty-handed. Not because you were denied, but because you didn't choose. And Archangel Michael, the one who wars for the chosen, says this plainly. The enemy doesn't have to attack your crown if he can just keep you entangled in a conversation that distracts you from wearing it. There are ties in your life, to people, to places, to patterns, that are not just unhealthy, they are unauthorized. And each time you entertain them, you delay what is already yours. God isn't trying to convince you to earn what's coming. He's waiting for you to clear the space so it can be delivered. May 11th is not random. It is a divine checkpoint. A moment sealed in eternity that heaven will use to decide whether you've made room or not. Archangel Michael declares this as a final alert. The heavens have been opened, and the angels have been dispatched. One of them carries your name, your breakthrough, your portion, but your atmosphere is contested. And this time, heaven will not delay the delivery again. There will be no third chance, no additional grace on this decision. The angel assigned to your destiny is preparing to descend, but the question ringing through the halls of glory is this: will they find room to land, or will they be forced to leave again, empty-handed? The pressure is not meant to punish. The pressure is here to purify. You've asked, you've pleaded, you've fasted, and heaven responded. But the law of spiritual proximity cannot be ignored. Your elevation cannot coexist with the soul who poisons your purpose. You know who it is. The one who keeps you tethered to cycles you swore you'd broken. The one whose words come dressed as concern but always cut your confidence. The one who smiles in public but drains you in private. They are not sent to support your assignment. They are sent to sabotage your acceleration. And Archangel Michael has been sent now, again, to tell you this plainly. If you do not cut the tie, the angel cannot deliver what's due. Do not mistake this warning for fear-mongering. This is revelation, not punishment. You are not being threatened. You are being awakened. There is no delay in the heavenlies. The delay is in your refusal to detach from what was never meant to stay this long. The people you're trying to save cannot go where you're going. The places you're still standing in are not sanctified ground. And the thoughts you keep entertaining are not aligned with your divine frequency. Your angel stands ready, but your field is still cluttered, and heaven will not pour holy oil into contaminated vessels. The sacred must be received in sanctified space. You say you are ready. You say you believe. But belief without obedience is rebellion dressed in religious language. If you want to receive what God has declared, you must create a space that welcomes it. The anointing is coming. A shift is coming. The blessing is not delayed. But the access point is still blocked by the tie you refuse to break. This tie is not your friend. This tie is not neutral. This tie is the reason your angel came and left once before empty-handed. And if nothing changes, it will happen again. But this time, there will be no return window. No circling back. No delayed route. This is the moment. This is the call. And this is your chance. May 11th is approaching. Heaven has dispatched what belongs to you. But what heaven will not do is force it into a life that has not made room for it. The tie must break. A connection must end. The pattern must be shattered. Or the angel, once again, will return empty-handed. Type I release the TIE in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 1414 is now activated in your atmosphere. There is a conversation happening about you, but you were never invited. Words are being traded like currency, spoken behind closed doors, passing through lips you once trusted. They are speaking with certainty but only know a fragment. What they're discussing is your past. What they're guessing at is your mindset. What they are misreading is your silence. And yet, they claim to have your name all figured out. But Archangel Michael wants you to hear this. They are not just mistaken. They are manipulating what they never had the grace to understand. Someone has mistaken your calm for confusion. They see your withdrawal and call it weakness. They hear your silence and label it shame. But what they do not see is what's happening behind the veil. The unraveling of old agreements, the sacred severing of cords, the internal decision to finally rise. You've been in a spiritual cocoon, not a corner. You've been in refinement, not retreat. But the enemy has used the lull in your communication as a playground for demonic assumptions. That's why this message matters. Because while you're in your process, someone else is already trying to narrate your outcome. And they are getting it dangerously wrong. There's a face smiling at you while questioning your every move. There's a voice asking how you're doing, not because they care, but because they're trying to gauge how close you are to realizing your power. And every time you confide in them, even just a little, they pass your revelations through filters of judgment, insecurity, and jealousy. These are not just people with issues. These are watchers, spirits assigned to gather intelligence on your breakthrough and leak it through gossip before it can take root. Archangel Michael says this isn't just betrayal. It's infiltration. And it's been happening in plain sight. You've been trying to convince yourself that they mean well, that they just don't understand you fully, that it's not their fault. They've been through a lot. But your compassion is not permission for sabotage. Your empathy is not an excuse to stay yoked to disorder. The truth is, they never really saw you. They saw a version of you they could control. A version they could outrun. A version that needed their opinion to feel validated. But now that you've grown quiet, now that you've become more prayerful, more selective, more discerning, their access has started to dwindle, and they are panicking. Behind the mask of support is a heart that's keeping score. Behind the check-in text is a motive to stay in the loop just enough to delay you. These people don't want you gone. But they don't want you elevated either. They want you nearby, stuck, dependent, predictable. Because the moment you step into your next level, they lose the version of you they controlled. And instead of adjusting to your evolution, they will question your authenticity. Instead of blessing your next move, they'll say you change. Instead of celebrating your obedience, they'll call it pride. Archangel Michael is warning you. This isn't harmless misunderstanding. This is strategic distraction. Someone is weaving a narrative around you to others, not out of hatred, but out of the fear that you're finally waking up. They know what's coming for you. They can sense the atmosphere thickening with divine favor, and so they are trying to cover you with doubt before you realize how close your angel actually is. But their confusion is not your assignment. Stop explaining your silence. Stop clarifying your decisions. Let them wonder. Let them misread. Let them speculate. You don't owe an exit memo to people who never deserve a front row seat. And if you're feeling tension in certain relationships right now, if you're noticing passive jams, subtle distance, or strange energy, that's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Because the moment your angel returns with your portion, the enemy's final card will be conversation. A twist in sentence. A triggered memory. A familiar plea. And if you entertain it, even for a moment, you give that energy permission to linger. And heaven cannot release what you tolerate. So hear this. Someone thinks they know you, but what's coming next is going to rewrite everything they assume. You are no longer the version they could control. You are no longer the soul that needed their validation. And by May 11th, you will prove it, not by responding, but by cutting the tie completely. Type "I am done with distraction" in the comments if this section speaks directly to your soul. Blessing code 1212 has now entered your atmosphere. You've been treating what's happening around you like it's about emotions, but the truth is, it's about elevation. The tension, the detachment, the subtle betrayal, the awkward silences, the strange dreams, they are not random. They are spiritual indicators. You are not in a personality conflict. You are in a divine recalibration. And heaven is confronting the illegal connections still hiding in your field. What looks like disappointment on the surface is actually divine enforcement beneath the veil. Archangel Michael declares this now with clarity. The warfare has nothing to do with your personality. It has everything to do with your position. You are not being attacked because you are wrong. You are being targeted because you are right on time. The enemy does not waste resources on someone who poses no threat. And yet here you are, under scrutiny, under pressure, under observation. Why? Because your atmosphere is swelling with arrival energy, and the forces assigned to delay you are panicking. Some of you have confused this shaking with failure. You've been asking, why is this relationship breaking down? Why do I feel tension around this person I once trusted? Why is everything I relied on now suddenly unstable? The answer: it's because the light in you is increasing, and shadows are responding. You are not imagining this. You're not being dramatic. Your clarity is not cruelty. What's happening is that heaven has activated your discernment, and now every misaligned thing that once felt familiar suddenly feels foreign. You see, when you were in survival mode, dysfunction felt like home. When your spirit was tired, you didn't notice how polluted your environment had become. But now that you've tasted peace, confusion feels like poison. Now that you've felt alignment, old conversations feel draining. Now that you've glimpsed divine love, counterfeit connection feels offensive. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. And awareness is the beginning of breakthrough. This is not a matter of keeping your circle small. This is about protecting divine infrastructure. What God is building through you cannot afford to be compromised by unhealed, unaccountable, unassigned people. You are carrying revelation. You are birthing something sacred. You are stepping into timelines that were delayed for generations. And so no, you cannot afford to entertain every voice. You cannot afford to invite every presence. You cannot afford to apologize for obeying the instruction to cut ties. Not now. Not when the angel is this close. There are some relationships heaven tolerated in your last season, but they cannot pass through this one. And that's not rejection. That's preservation. God is not being cruel by exposing the wrong ones. He's being merciful by preventing the wrong ones from touching what's holy. They were sent to walk you to the gate, not walk through it with you. And if you try to drag them through it anyway, you'll forfeit the blessing waiting on the other side. That's why the angel left empty-handed last time, because the field was too contaminated to deliver what was clean. Archangel Michael is saying this loudly. This isn't about liking someone or disliking them. This is about obedience. You don't need to feel bad about who God is removing. You don't need closure with every person you let go. You don't need permission to protect your promise. Your purpose doesn't require consensus. Your calling doesn't need confirmation. It needs consecration. It needs separation. It needs clarity. And if someone cannot walk with you in your healing, they were never sent to walk with you in your glory. And so this is the hour of spiritual framing. You must stop looking at this through the lens of emotion. It is not about how long you knew them. It is not about how much you helped them. It is not about the promises you made in old seasons when you were still bleeding and blind. It's about the instructions heaven is giving now. God has shifted the alignment. And if you stay tethered to who no longer belongs, you will miss what already does. You are anointed. You are sealed. You are sent. And now, you must become unapologetically selective. Type "I protect what is sacred" in the comments if you are ready to let obedience override emotion. Blessing code 3333 is now anchoring your new alignment. There is movement in the spirit realm, and it is not passive. Something, or someone, is preparing to breach your boundaries one last time before May 11th. The enemy has calculated your softness. They've studied your compassion. And now, they are planning a return, not through confrontation, but through familiarity. You will not be tested by a stranger. You will be tested by someone you once trusted. Someone whose access should have been revoked, but whose number you never deleted. Someone who watched you break, and now wants to play healer, not because they love you, but because they see you getting stronger without them. Archangel Michael is issuing this part of the warning with sharp precision. They are coming back, but their timing is strategic, not sentimental. You'll think it's coincidence, a random call, a well-meaning message, an accidental "hey, I was just thinking about you," but in the spirit realm, it's a calculated trap, sent to lure you back into emotional captivity just as your angel is preparing to deliver. Do not be fooled. Do not interpret their return as reconciliation. It is a reset of the same old test. And this time, if you fail, it won't just cost you peace. It will cost you divine release. The signs will be subtle at first. A shift in tone. An apology that seems too polished. A conversation that suddenly revisits old memories with a strange glow, like they've been rewritten in nostalgia. Don't bite. This is a seduction dressed in sincerity. This is a delay disguised as closure. And if you respond, even with curiosity, you will signal to heaven that you are still undecided about your deliverance. Because here's the truth. Deliverance requires decision, not just prayer, not just journaling. Decision. And the angel cannot release what you haven't fully chosen. Someone is preparing a narrative about you right now, not just behind your back, but through planned proximity. They want to be close again, close enough to influence your decisions, close enough to water down your clarity, close enough to distract you just long enough that you miss the May 11th visitation. But you must remember this. They didn't love you when you were broken. They loved that you needed them. Now that you've healed, now that your wings are visible, they want to remind you of the cage they once built with their words. This isn't paranoia. This is prophetic foresight. Heaven is showing you the trap before it's set. You may receive a message in the next few hours. You may feel an urge to reach out to someone whose spirit has already been revoked. You may even see them in your dreams. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual prompts to test your boundaries. The next few days are critical. Every interaction matters. Every silence counts. Every act of obedience will be measured. Not because God is cruel, but because your readiness must be proven by your rejection of repetition. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this in full. They are planning to re-enter, and they've convinced themselves that your door is still slightly open. They don't believe you've really changed. They don't believe you'll really walk away. They are counting on your hesitation. They are banking on your empathy. They are depending on your softness. But heaven is depending on your obedience. And heaven must win. The window is closing. May 11th is not a symbolic date. It is a spiritual threshold. And if you allow this person back into your atmosphere now, with their passive aggression, their fake apologies, their rehearsed lines, the angel standing at your gate will withdraw again. Not because you weren't worthy, but because the environment you chose told heaven, you're not ready to protect the blessing. You've waited too long for this. You've cried too many nights. You've sacrificed too much. Let this be the final test you pass, not fail. Type "I close the door for good" in the comments if you hear this warning loud and clear. Blessing code 5757 has now sealed your atmosphere with divine reinforcement. Now that the trap has been exposed, now that the watcher has been revealed, now that the seduction of false reconciliation has been unmasked, you must take your stance, not with confrontation, but with consecrated stillness. This is the moment where many falter. They feel the urgency of the warning, they feel the stirring in their spirit, but when it's time to respond, they go back to their old reflexes. They explain. They justify. They overtalk. They reopen wounds just to prove they healed. And in doing so, they create access points for the enemy to re-enter through their emotions. But not you. Not this time. You have matured beyond explanation. You are rising beyond response. You are not obligated to make others feel comfortable with your evolution. You are not here to offer clarity to the confused or closure to the chaotic. What you're walking into cannot be diluted by compromise. You must protect it, not just with your words but with your silence. Not with your emotions but with your positioning. Archangel Michael says this part is not about what you say. It's about what you don't allow. This is a test of restraint, not reaction. A test of emotional intelligence, not verbal dominance. Your silence will speak more loudly in this season than your statements ever could. Every time you stay quiet, heaven hears agreement. Every time you choose stillness, the spirit realm sees obedience. Every time you hold your peace, the angels mark it as maturity. You are not backing down. You are standing firm in the authority that silence grants to the anointed. You may feel the urge to send a message, to give one final explanation, to be the bigger person. But being the bigger person doesn't mean being the accessible person. Being kind does not mean being available. Being holy does not mean being foolish. God is not asking you to keep the door open to prove you forgiven. Forgiveness does not require access. Release does not require reunion. Peace does not require partnership. What God is asking of you now is to disengage completely and let heaven take over from here. You must not reach out. You must not revisit. You must not reopen. The past version of you would have responded by now, would have texted back, would have tried to make peace where God allowed division, would have talked it out instead of walking away. But this version of you, the one heaven has refined, the one the angel is coming for, knows better, knows the cost, knows the danger of compromise, knows that when you invite chaos back in for conversation, you put your destiny on mute. So guard your gates. Be mindful of what you allow into your ears, your spirit, your phone, your home. The warfare is not just around you, it's trying to get in. And your obedience is your greatest security system. Shut the door with confidence. Delete the contact without grieving. Ignore the message without guilt. You are not being rude. You are being righteous. You are not being distant. You are being divine. And if the tension rises, if the enemy becomes louder, if the voices start accusing you of being cold or prideful or selfish, remember, those are echoes of old cycles. That's not truth. That's temptation. And silence is your sword. Stillness is your power. Detachment is your obedience. This time, you do not need to fight for the outcome. You only need to preserve your field so the angel can land. Archangel Michael is already circling your space. But the field must be clear. No noise. No mess. No open doors. And no second guessing. The angel is not looking for your perfection, only your alignment. Your peace is the proof. Your silence is the signal. Your restraint is the roar. Type "I choose silence over sabotage" in the comments if you are ready to let stillness win. Lesson code 4488 has now formed a divine barrier around your spirit. Something is rising in your spirit. Can you feel it? It's not rage. It's not vengeance. It's not even sadness. It's power. Quiet power. Righteous power. Power that comes after obedience. Power that forms in the void left by what you released. The moment you cut that tie, the moment you said no more, the moment you chose stillness instead of sabotage, heaven responded. What they tried to use to keep you stuck has now become the very ground beneath your feet. And Archangel Michael is declaring this with fire. You are rising. Not next week. Not next year. Now, they won't say it out loud, but the same people who once talked over you are now watching you with nervous curiosity. The ones who mocked your boundaries are now whispering about your absence. And the ones who used to ask, "Who does she think she is?" are now silently asking, "What if she really becomes everything we sensed she could be?" They don't fear your voice. They fear your awakening. Because now, you've remembered who you are. The version of you they had access to is gone. The version of you that needed their approval, that tolerated their delays, that questioned your own discernment to keep the peace, that version has died. And from the ashes a higher form has emerged. Not arrogant, not vengeful, just divinely aware. You are no longer operating at the frequency where they controlled the conversation. You have tuned into the voice of God, and that frequency silences every counterfeit echo. They can't reach you now, not because you've moved, but because you've ascended. You didn't block them. You just broke the agreement that kept you in spiritual poverty. You didn't exile them. You just exited the timeline where their dysfunction was your responsibility. You didn't change on them. You got to change them into you. Archangel Michael wants you to see this clearly. What you thought was isolation was actually incubation. The silence you endured was the womb of your reintroduction. The separation you grieved with the beginning of your reformation. And now, heaven is not just watching you, heaven is investing in you. You've proven through pain that you are ready for platform. You've passed the tests that required no applause, no audience, no validation. And because of that, your elevation will be both public and protected. They may try to re-enter. They may try to mimic growth. They may even try to mirror your language. But energy doesn't lie, and God doesn't forget. Your obedience is marked. Your process is sealed. And your next chapter is not a continuation of the last. It's a completely different book. You are being introduced into a season that your enemies won't recognize and your past can't sabotage. And the only requirement is this: don't go back to what God has already released you from. Let them whisper. Let them speculate. Let them send signals through silence or indirect messages. You owe them nothing, not because they were evil, but because they were expired. Some connections are not toxic. They are just timed out. And what God is bringing into your life now cannot coexist with anything left over from your past identity. So rise with quiet boldness. Show up with healed energy. Let your presence make the announcement your words never need to. You've been through too much to apologize for your peace. You've cried too long to second-guess your clarity. You've been refined in fire, and now you emerge as flame. And no one can manipulate you back into bondage. No one can delay what's already in transit. No one can mock what's already been marked by heaven. Type "I am untouchable" by the past in the comments if you're stepping into your next level without hesitation. Blessing code 9090 now surrounds you with a divine force field of unstoppable favor. This is the turning point. Not just emotionally but spiritually. Not just internally but atmospherically. Because you've done what few are willing to do. You've passed the test that demanded no explanation, only execution. You cut the tie. You sealed the door. You chose alignment over attachment. And now, the angel who once hovered at a distance is descending with fire, precision, and release. Archangel Michael declares this clearly: you will not miss this moment. You are stepping into the reward of obedience. There is a spiritual shift already in motion. Something in your field is opening. You may feel lighter. You may feel like time is moving differently. You may suddenly notice people exiting without chaos, plans coming together without effort, signs appearing without you searching. That's not coincidence. It's confirmation. When you removed the unauthorized connection, you cleared the airspace. And now your angel has room to land. The promise that was once blocked is now in transit. Not because you strive for it, but because you finally made space for it. You were never denied. You were delayed by what you refused to release. But that delay has ended. And with its ending comes a divine rearrangement. Heaven is now reorganizing your atmosphere to match your next. What felt like emptiness is becoming overflow. What felt like silence is becoming clarity. What felt like loneliness is now being filled with presence, the right presence. People are being reassigned to you. Opportunities are being rerouted toward you. Things that once slipped through your fingers are now returning to you in double portion, not because of begging, but because of positioning. And here is the most powerful truth. What you thought you lost by letting go, heaven is now returning in multiplied form. That person who drained you, replaced by someone who fuels you. That relationship that kept you bound, exchanged for one that activates purpose. That opportunity you missed while entertaining confusion, now redirected to find you, with your name already spoken in rooms you've never entered. This is restoration on divine terms. This is replacement under sacred timing. This is breakthrough, custom fit by heaven itself. The tests weren't meant to punish you. They were designed to prove your readiness. And now that you've passed the final exam, promotion has no choice but to follow. Archangel Michael says, there is nothing left to block you now, unless you go back. And you won't. Because you've tasted freedom. You walked through the ashes. You've seen what happens when you give your yes to something higher. And once you've felt the peace that comes with obedience, confusion no longer feels like love. It feels like poison. Your steps are now divinely timed. Your atmosphere is charged with favor. Your name is being spoken with honor in realms you didn't even know existed. The spiritual realm recognizes your elevation, and even the enemy is nervous. What you survived has qualified you. What you released has sanctified you. And what's arriving will solidify you as the one chosen for such a time as this. You're about to witness doors swing open without knocking. You're about to receive calls you never applied for. You're about to attract alliances that are divinely endorsed. All because you obeyed not when it was easy but when it was essential. The tie is cut. The air is clear. The angel has returned, and this time, their hands are not empty. Mark this date. Mark this moment. By May 11th, you will feel the full effect of what you've just unlocked. And no enemy, no voice, no echo from your past will be able to reverse what heaven has just released. Type "My angel returns" with my reward in the comments if you feel this divine activation in your spirit. Blessing code 1010 has now ignited your timeline with irreversible favor. This word wasn't given to you just for comfort. It was given as a command, a sacred directive from heaven itself. You are not just here to hear a message, you are here to respond to it. Archangel Michael has not been speaking to entertain your emotions. He hath been sent to mobilize your obedience. And now that you've received the full warning, the exposure, the insight, and the promise, you must act. You must activate the alignment by sealing it with declaration, agreement, and demonstration. Because spiritual obedience is not passive. It is prophetic motion. Too many have heard words like this and nodded their head, but never moved their feet. They agreed silently, but never aligned loudly. They felt the conviction, but ignored the confirmation. And so their angels circled again and left again empty-handed. That will not be your story. Not this time. Not after everything that's been revealed. You're not called to be a spiritual spectator. You are a participator, a partner with the prophetic, a builder of destiny. And builders must move when the blueprint is delivered. There is an instruction on your life right now, and it is not optional. It is this: cut. Time. And when you do, you must not just do it in silence. You must mark the moment with action. You must type it, say it, declare it, live it. Because the spiritual realm responds to authority, and authority must be demonstrated. When you type it, the atmosphere shifts. When you declare it, the old agreement breaks. When you move, the angel is cleared for landing. This is not superstition. This is spiritual legality. There are laws in the realm of spirit. laws that bind, laws that break. And right now, the law of agreement is in effect. If you agree with the bondage, you empower it. If you agree with the breakthrough, you unlock it. That is why the comments matter. That is why your verbal declaration matters. Not for the sake of a show, but for the sake of the shift. Every prophetic instruction you respond to publicly becomes an altar built in the spirit. And heaven honors altars with fire. So here is what you must do. Declare your separation. Declare your alignment. Declare your arrival. Do not scroll past this word like it's just another video. This isn't content. It's your confirmation. This isn't a suggestion. It's your summons. You are not here by accident. You are not watching this by random algorithm. Your spirit hath been crying out, and heaven has responded with precision. And now you must answer with action. Your call to action is simple, but it is sacred. Type, I cut the tie. I receive my release. Say it out loud. 3 times. Let it vibrate in your home. Write it down. Date it. Sign it with your name. Love the moment. This is more than just words. This is spiritual enforcement. Every time you say it, a gate opens. Every time you type it, a chain breaks. Every time you agree with it, the angel moves closer. Don't delay. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for another sign. This is it. This is the line. This is the place where the spirit realm pauses, looking for your next move. The angel is watching. Your future is watching. Even your past is watching, hoping you stay stuck just one more day. But your obedience will silence every voice. This is your line in the sand. Your covenant declaration. Your final act before divine delivery. You have already survived too much to lose now. You have already waited too long to let this slip. This action, right here, right now, is the difference between another delay and immediate dispatch. And you know what to do. I cut the tie. I receive my release. In the comments if you are sealing your atmosphere in full agreement with heaven. Blessing code 2020 has now confirmed the path forward. It is done. The tie is cut. The signal has been sent. The angel hath been cleared for landing. Everything that needed to be said hath been declared. Everything that needed to be exposed has been brought into the light. And now, heaven responds, not with delay, not with another test, but with confirmation. You passed. You obeyed. You shifted. You released. And now you rise. Archangel Michael surrounds you in this moment with full reassurance. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly on time for divine alignment. This journey was never about perfection. It was never about being without flaw. It was always about one thing, obedience. And when you obeyed the instruction to let go, you stepped into something greater than understanding. You stepped into supernatural acceleration. Where others are spinning in cycles, you are breaking through. Where others are bound by fear, you are driven by faith. And where others are still explaining their hesitation, you are walking boldly in silence, because your fruit will speak what your words no longer need to. Let this be your final reminder. You are not weak for walking away. You are not cruel for closing the door. You are not bitter for protecting your peace. You are a guardian of sacred ground, and your heart is the altar. What you did, cutting the tie, resisting the return, embracing the silence, wasn't cold. It was holy. And that holiness has made room for the harvest, not just in spiritual theory, but in real, tangible breakthrough. Your finances are about to stabilize. Your relationships are about to align. Your vision is about to crystallize. Your inner peace is about to expand. Because the room you created through obedience is now being filled by grace. This is the exchange of heaven, and you are walking in it fully. Do not doubt what's coming. Do not wonder if you did the right thing. The very evidence that you're on the right path is the peace you now feel, not the absence of conflict, but the stillness within your soul. And stillness is the language of heaven. When your spirit is still, the angels are at work. When your atmosphere is clean, destiny gets delivered. Your silence has not gone unnoticed. Your obedience has not been wasted. Your resistance has not been ignored. Heaven has marked this moment as a prophetic pivot, a divine rerouting, a supernatural upgrade that can no longer be delayed. The door has closed on old cycles, and the windows of heaven are now opening over you with favor, with clarity, with provision, and with new alliances. So walk forward, chosen one. Walk forward with your head high and your spirit light. Let them wonder why you did respond. Let them speculate about your silence. Let them persevere in events. You do not owe them an explanation. You owe yourself a future, and your future has already begun. The moment you passed the test, Archangel Michael is no longer hovering. He is moving, and at his ends is with months withheld. Not because God said no, but because the atmosphere was not yet ready. But now, the space is clear. The signal is strong. The blessing is landing. And you are not the same. You have evolved. You have ascended. You are the revelation. What they thought would break you only revealed your boundaries. What they tried to twist only proved your truth. What they thought was your end has now become your elevation. You are not a victim. You are the vessel. You are not abandoned. You are anointed. You are not late. You are launched. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. Let them wait. You rise, and this time, nothing can return empty. Type "I am the revelation" in the comments to seal this entire word with divine finality. Blessing code 7771 is now written across your story. This chapter closes in glory,